Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Riley, and I just thought I'd do a quick video on the engine oil I use for my KLR 650, the recommendations I have for the oil, and just an overall general kind of question and answer for oil questions on the motorcycle. So first of all, before we get started, the KLR 650 has a 2.5 liter or 2.6 quart oil capacity, so that's how much oil you need to put inside of it. So basically a little over 2.5 quarts. And quarts are these small bottles. That's how they usually look. They come in these small bottles. There's lots of different oils that you can use, but you need to use a motorcycle specific oil, because if you don't, it can make your clutch slip. So don't just use regular 10W40 oil. Make sure it's motorcycle approved oil. The way you can do that is, if you see this rating right here where it says JSO MA2, that's basically lets you know that this is a motorcycle approved oil. And again, I use 10W40. You can use 15W40 or something even thicker, but the thicker oil you use, the harder it is to start in cold weather. 10W40 starts in about any temperature, so it's great for what I use. It's great for where I ride. So I'm not promoting this stuff. I just wanted to show you guys this stuff. It's pretty cheap anyways, so this is what I found I use. I just want to talk about oil change intervals real quick, because people want to know what kind of oil to use, or how often did you change the oil and everything like that. Well, for oil filters, I've heard that you should change it every other oil change. So say if you're changing your oil every 2,000 miles, change your oil filter every 4,000 miles. Okay, so here's a general rule of thumb I've learned with the KLR 650. If you're doing mostly street riding, and you're using good oil, it's okay to change your oil every 2,000 miles. But say you're doing 100% dirt or a larger majority of dirt riding, you're riding trails all the time, then I would change your oil every 1,000 miles. So that's just my general rule of thumb. Change the oil every 1,000 miles for hard dirt riding. Change your oil every 2,000 miles if your bike's just a commuter. And that's what I go by as well. So I used to use the Kawasaki oil, but it was kind of expensive. So I found this. This is $35 for 6 quarts of oil. This is Castrol Activo. And this is 10W40 motorcycle oil, part synthetic, and this is 1 quart. Like I said, the KLR, it can take up to 2.6 quarts. So this is a really good motorcycle oil. Like I said, I used to use the Kawasaki oil, but this is cheaper, and you can get it for $35 for 6 quarts, which is pretty cheap. And yeah, so I was using Mobile One. I used the Kawasaki brand oil, but then I found this stuff, and it works very good, and it's pretty dang cheap. So I definitely recommend this oil. And like I said, one more time, if you change it every 2,000 miles, if you're using your bike as a commuter, that's a good recommendation. And if you change it every 1,000 miles, if you're using your bike for hard off-roading, and who knows, you might be, and that's just like a generalization, if you use like better oil, maybe you could go longer, but I don't like going longer than 2,000 miles to change the oil on my bike. And oil's cheap, so you can change the oil as much as you want, and it's a cheap investment in your bike. So it's not like it's gonna like break the bank, So and most of us don't even ride I'm not going to speak for everybody, but a lot of us would be lucky if you'll ride 2,000 miles in one season, you know. So, so most of us that ride only change our oil once a year anyways, so. But then again, there's those people that, you know, put 10,000 miles on their bike in a year, so can't speak for those guys. But just remember, you know, a car, like for instance, my car, I change the oil every 5,000 miles, and I use cheap oil. I just use high mileage oil on my car. But remember, motorcycles run at higher RPMs. So, you know, the oil gets worn out and dirtier quicker in a motorcycle. So, like I said, I would stick to the 2,000 mile guideline if you use your bike only on the road, and then, you know, 1,000 miles if you're using it off-road a lot. So, that's about it. I'm trying to think if there's anything else, because a lot of people were asking me these questions. Some people will say, you know, you can go 6,000-7,000 miles, 5,000 miles on an oil change. I'm sure you can, but I personally don't think you should wait that long to change the oil, because when I did a lot of off-road riding this last summer, and when I changed the oil on my motorcycle after 2,000 miles, it was like mud color. It was like really dirty, so that made me realize, yeah, I need to change it more often. So, again, this is good oil, Castrol Activo, whatever it's called. You know, I would stick with 10W40. If it's super duper hot, I guess you can run something, you know, a little thicker, but you don't want to run thicker oil in the cold because it will be almost impossible to start. So yeah, that's about it. And basically, if you don't want to buy this oil, that's fine. Just make sure any oil you buy has that rating right there. Let me see if you can see it better. Oops, let me see if you can see it better on the back. Make sure it has that rating right there if you're going to buy a different motorcycle oil. So the JSO MA2, as long as it has that rating, it's good for motorcycles, and it won't make your clutch slip. So, thanks for watching the video. Give me a thumbs up, and please hit that subscribe button.